You're watching In the Office. My name is Bray. Let's do some more quote learning. Today for episode number 15, I want to kind of do a part 2 of the rise and fall of Mars Hill. This is a podcast put out by Christianity Today, and it's been fascinating. I mean, I've learned so much, and then I have been reminded of much that I had forgotten. But they have taken a little detour in their podcast to interview a man by the name of Joshua Harris. This was a pastor of a mega church who was a author who wrote some very famous books, maybe a book that you've even read, I Kiss Dating Goodbye, which was a book on teen and early 20s purity, as you would focus on Jesus instead of dating. But now he's known for mostly deconstruction. Now, what is deconstruction? I think most people aren't even aware of the term yet. But in the Christian sphere, there's a emerging idea of deconstructionism, and basically, let me kind of show you the path that people take. You have construction, which is it's building your belief system and worldview, and you can go back and listen to some more podcasts. We've talked about how to do that. But then deconstructionism is where you start challenging your worldview and the subsequent beliefs. You go all the way back. You question everything, but you're not doing so with the idea of necessarily getting at the truth, because you tend to have an outside influence pushing you to deconstruct, and that's where I get frustrated. People like Joshua Harris are happy to, on social media and in private back channel forms of communication through emails, etc., they're happy to help younger people deconstruct their faith in similar ways to them. And because a young person, if they see someone in their 40s who looks credible and has a good resume, wants to help them and wants to give them attention to help deconstruct their faith, they're likely to be just blinded by what's happening to them and lean into it. It's a very sad situation when people want to help other people deconstruct their faith. I like to take this approach. As I'm helping you build your worldview, we're questioning along the way. We're asking all the questions on the front end and along the way, so that when we get to the establishment of your belief system, your worldview, you've already asked these questions. They're not something that you're like, oh my goodness, well, what about this or what about that? No, we've asked the questions along the way. But let's just say you're going by this pattern, you've constructed a worldview, now you're trying to deconstruct it. Well, what becomes the result of it? Well, then you have to reconstruct it. You have to build you a new, more holistic belief and worldview. That can be done if you take the pattern I've aforementioned. If you build and question, not if you just build, and then you have someone come in to try to help you question everything and do so in a way that really detaches you from biblical orthodoxy. That's what I don't like. And in the podcast, Mike Cosper is interviewing Joshua Harris. And it's interesting because Harris, he apologizes for the things that actually helped so many people, like his books. His books were tremendous. I read a couple of them, helped me out big time. And he's apologizing for the things that helped people because they were orthodox. They actually had a biblical premise, and he has moved to an extra biblical worldview. And if you do that, then deconstructionism becomes it's just a daily exercise in futility. You start adding all kinds of oddities. You can go back and listen to his podcast. Some of the views that he espouses now are just out there. Why? Because he has no anchor in a rock. His anchor is a 5-pound anchor for a 5,000-pound boat, and it's not hooked to anything. It's just going to and fro. He's not anchored in any way to any idea. And a deconstructionist, an honest one, will tell you this, that they're ready to hear any new ideas. They're the people in Athens sitting up in the big chairs saying, bring us your new ideas. I don't mind interacting with new ideas, but I know something. A new idea is nothing but a repackaged old idea, because nothing is new under the sun. And if you believe that something is new, like an idea All you need to do is put in a Google search bar to find out that about, 100,000 people have said something like that before. Nothing's new under the sun. Deconstructionism is a tool to harm people, but there's nothing wrong with asking questions. I'm a big proponent of asking questions, but you need to do so in its context with people who genuinely care about you. I think I've seen a lot of damage done by people who've confided in other people who they believed cared about them but didn't. And there's not a deeper betrayal than someone who used to be a Christian leader helping other people who are Christians to deconstruct their Christian faith, to make it open, to make it ambiguous, to make it very palatable to the world. I find that to be a deep way to betray somebody's soul. So please don't get caught up in the deconstructionist mindset. You should have asked many of these questions along the way. But if you hadn't asked those questions, make sure to find a solid Christian apologist, pastor, friend to ask these questions to, not somebody who's excited to bring you along so that they have more company in their misery because they feel their separation from the Lord. I know that you have questions about things in life. I have questions about things in life. But we have to make sure that we're asking people that we can trust about those questions. What's your question that's been bothering you? What's the question that you need to ask of God and of the Bible so that you have a little bit more of the puzzle put together? I'm sure that you have one. You can always reach out to me or to your local pastor or to one of your friends that you trust. But figure out what that question is. Instead of trying to deconstruct your entire worldview and your Christian faith, confide in somebody that you can trust and get those answers. You be thinking on that, and we'll see you next time.